At least 4 people are now confirmed dead in that apartment building collapse in Surfside, Florida. According to our Miami station, WFOR, rescuers are working at the scene this morning after the 12-story complex came down while families slept inside. We're learning new details about what might have contributed to the building's collapse as the agonizing search through the rubble continues. At least 99 people are still unaccounted for. Our correspondents are on the ground covering all angles. We'll start with our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud. David, what can you tell us?
Anthony, good morning. Let me set the scene for you. We're about 100 yards from where the collapse happened, and it smells like a fire. And that's because there have been little fires burning over the last 24 hours since the building partially collapsed. In fact, we have a shot right now where you can see Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. They've constantly been blasting water on a particular side of the building that continues to smolder this morning. Overnight, dogs, rescuers were constantly going through the rubble looking for people. We've spent the last 24 hours trying to get as much information as we could about the building. What was going on there? What could have led to that collapse? We'll tell you more in a moment, but we start with some incredibly dramatic video of first responders at the scene. Risking their own lives, Miami-Dade County Fire Department's technical rescue team went underneath the building to try and find victims who may still be alive.
This process is slow and methodical. You see that every time there's a shift in the rubble, we have additional rubble that shifts on us.
When the building collapsed early Thursday morning, this is what one of the first responders radioed in.
I see many people on the balconies. The building is gone. There's no elevators. This is nothing. I mean, it almost resembles the Trade Center.
At the time of the collapse, the 12-story, 136-unit building, which is 40 years old, was undergoing a routine inspection. Here in Miami-Dade County, buildings have to be recertified after 40 years, and then every 10 years after that.
To my knowledge,
Ken Director is an attorney who represents the Champlain Towers South Condominium Association.
I was told that it looked like the garage fell into a hole.
Director says there are thousands of porous concrete beachside buildings that are subjected to seawater damage, which can weaken the structure. Inspectors here determined that before the collapse, the condo needed some routine concrete repair.
The engineer who did that found nothing to suggest that a collapse like this was imminent.
There is an expert on the earth and environment at Florida International University who found that this area where the building partially collapsed showed signs of sinking back in the 1990s, otherwise known as subsidence.
The subsidence rate was between 1 and 3 millimeters per year, which is pretty small. It accumulates over time, then it can be a few inches over decades, and that was our concern.
Now, the professor stresses, listen, the sinking of the building alone is not enough to cause the collapse. As for the construction happening on the building for this 40-year inspection, we're told that work had started on the roof. That's where they were focused at the time the building collapsed. Jerika?
Still so many questions. David, thank you.
All this talk of a modern God or no God. There is one God. The God of the Israelites. And he is a stern and vengeful God. And we have been mocking him far too long. And now he demands retribution in blood. It is time to declare yourselves. Take sides. The saved and the damned. Read the good book. It calls for expiation. Blood.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.